Can you hear
Um,
me all right?
yeah, yeah. Do I get to check before it gets uploaded, or is it
Yeah,
just
yeah,
gonna
of
be a
course, of
surprise?
course. Nah, this is it. Anything you say, like we take it. We own the
Fuck,
rights. You get
amazing,
no say.
amazing. Copyright mess.
That's right. That's right. Um, I heard some. Do you know that brand Gentle Monster?
No, what's that?
I actually the
No,
sunglasses brand
gentle.
Gentle Monster.
No, I haven't heard
Bro,
of it.
you gotta check their. You gotta check it out, man.
Why? Why?
Um,
What do they make?
they make sunglasses.
Yeah.
They're Korean. They're a Korean store, and there's a
Okay.
little myth around it. As far as I know, this is how their story started. Um, and don't quote me on this because this is like third, fourth hand information. Uh, I heard that the guy who started it, he was like a fine artist. He was an artist
Mm,
that had an interest in sunglasses, right? And so he decided to open this store, and in this store, he wanted to have a new like a full art exhibition every week, like a brand new art exhibition every single week or every month or something like that, right? So he opened this store with no plans, and then every week he would just radically change up what the
mm.
inside story of that store was like. So one time he'll just have a mountain of dirt in there, you know, and like two
Mm,
sunglasses,
mm,
and the next week he would just cut a whole bunch of flowers from somewhere and like
yeah,
just do some whack. And if you go to their stores, it's 80% exhibition, 20%
sunglasses.
merch, if that,
Mm, 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 mm,
right? And now they're just taken over, just globally, right? And
right,
they've kept that, and their stores are legendary. And I got to visit one when I was in Korea a couple months ago,
right, right.
and it was 3 floors of just surreal art, right?
Oh,
It's
damn.
just like sculptures that look like humans, but they're sculptures, and they're just like meditating. They're just like literally cross-legged, sitting down with a spacesuit on, and you have to go real close, and you can see the hairs, like hyper real sculptures, right? And you're like, is that a
Shit.
person? And then you go, and then the second floor, there's like moving, like moving kind of, if you imagine mechanical whale bones, right? And it just kind of hung in the air and just like all moving. There's like flowers, mechanical flowers on the ground. And this is like mostly what you see. And just in the corners, right? Really unobtrusive are sunglasses, right? And it's like, you don't go into the store to buy sunglasses. You
Mm,
go into the store to have this Alice in Wonderland experience,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And if you feel like it, you can bring something back from this different universe, right? And
Mm.
wear it, or like in your day to day, right? So
So
you're not
that's
you're
that's
not
their
really
that's
buying
their concept.
sunglasses. You're not buying
You're buying
sunglasses.
you're
You're
buying the
buying a piece of
experience.
this. Yeah, yeah, man.
Mm,
I thought you'd be real into their stuff. But one of the interesting things I
wow.
found out was they hire a lot of up and coming, really talented artists.
Mm,
But when they come in and they start doing work for these guys, they don't credit them. It's Gentle
mm,
Monsters art. It's Gentle Monsters exhibition. There's no person's name
mm,
associated
mm, mm, mm.
with that, you know? And, like, I don't think I'm not trying to make it sound, real unfair. There's both sides to it, right? There's
Yeah,
both sides to
there
it.
is. It is. Well, it's kind of like you've got the artist who's a singer, let's say, right? And this whole team behind it. Let's say even modern day, Travis Scott, like his
Mm.
name's there, that's the brand, but behind it is his producers, his record label, his lyrics guy. There's so many, or video person. There's so many people behind the scene that don't really get credited. But I think it's part of like, yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know. you have to become Travis Scott to kind of like to be Travis Scott. You know what I mean? Like you can't be in the background and be like, oh, why can't I be Travis Scott? Because you're not Travis Scott. You didn't put in the effort to become Travis Scott. You know what I mean? As well. I don't know. It's a two. It's an interesting thing because obviously these artists want to have their name recognized through this, but it's kind of like because the brand is also like already so big, right? Like it's almost like free clout. That's the terminology that people use, clout. So it's kind of like I don't know. Yeah,
Clout, Clout. I've never heard of this
yeah.
word before.
I don't even know actually if I'm using it in the right context, but it's apparently like when it's like it's in the kids lingo. It's like
Yeah.
people do it for the clout, or do it for the gram.
Yeah. Nice, nice.
I like to be on top of these because it's just interesting, like how the kids are speaking these days.
Dude, it's insane, man. When I had the pleasure of going and interacting with a bunch of high school kids over the last couple of years,
Yeah. Mm.
and the concept of being a YouTuber when they grow. What do you want to grow? What do you want to do when you grow? I want to be a YouTuber, right? What do you want to do on YouTube? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so many kids, man. So many so
It's
many
be- it's
teenagers.
become like an actual career path. You know,
Yeah, it's
it's
and it's not a thing that existed when we're their age.
no. Even now, like I've been trying to like I tried to get into TikTok during that really dark period of COVID, right? When it just on the onset of COVID. And I didn't even know how to fucking use it, and I honestly felt like a old aunt, like an how like old uncles and like
Yeah.
dads that don't know how to use the phones.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, and I was like, wow, this is the age gap.
Odd, man. I mean, I don't know. There's no excuse. I can't I hate giving myself that excuse, right?
The
It's
age gap.
you have it's like you have to sacrifice in the present to be able to gain something that you want in the future, and that goes for followings, that goes for certain uh, capabilities with certain technologies. And it doesn't matter if you're just starting out, if you're a kid or if you're an adult. It's
Mm,
just that when you're a kid and we're going on MySpace for the first time and things like that, it's you don't even think about the fact that it's going to be work. You
mm.
don't think about the fact that, okay, I have to find that button. Okay, how do I upload my picture? Okay, let's see what's cool. Okay, how do I use this? What's cool? What's appropriate jokes? What are the inappropriate, ways of use? You don't go through that phase at all.
It becomes so natural. Yeah.
Exactly. I think it's only when you become like, you know, the uncle, and it's like, oh man, there's another one. There's another thing. Here's another thing. Here we go again. It's gonna change again in 3 years' time. But
Yeah.
uh and
I
I get
mean,
that too. I
yeah.
get that too. But
Mm.
I hate giving myself that excuse, like, oh man, times have changed, and Facebook was where it's at, and I
No,
don't need anything else.
I never complain about, I mean, the new technologies that come on. Like, it's like, I never look back and said, back in my days, because it's like I said, like, I always want to learn what's new, right? So,
Yeah.
learning even new lingo is like,
Yeah.
um, clout. Like, I'm embarrassed to say it, but like, I know, and I know when how the kids are like speaking these days.
Yeah.
And that gives me like, I don't know, some sort of like, I feel cool again.
You feel cool amongst uh people your age and older because you can bring this new thing. Hey,
Yeah.
you don't even know about clout. Like, what's wrong with you, man? Like,
But yeah, it's just it's funny, like I don't know, there's so much stuff that I just search. I like I linked that artist that I linked you,
Yeah,
his name
yeah.
was like Daniel Arsham or Asham. But yeah, just out of like just curiosity, I clicked on one of his artwork and it was just like it was just like the calling. You look at it and you're like, holy fuck, that's me in an artwork form. Like, how can the guy make something so perfect that like it just completes my OCD? You know, like it's like when I see your posts with the logo on the top left and then the little bars on the side to kind of give like to fill up the empty space, and your logo, your tag name at the bottom, like the way it's positioned, it just all like it just gives me that, like, I don't know, it's almost like satisfying. It's like I can relax and watch this post in a
Mate,
way.
thank you. I do it for you, man. Honestly, I do.
I just yeah, like I'm not even exaggerating, because yeah, it's people don't get that you could give someone that you can reduce someone's anxiety by making things aligned.
Mm.
And
Oh,
I feel like, yeah.
it's a real thing, man. It's a real thing.
Mm,
It's like a while ago, I think I was listening to Johnny Ives talk about the MacBook Air,
mm,
and when they first came up with that, there was an indicator bar for battery, right?
yeah.
And basically, it would only be visible when it was indicating, and if it
Mm,
wasn't indicating, it just looked like metal. So they had found some way to, I think, perforate the metal with
mm.
micro holes so that when the light at the back is not on, right,
It just looks like the
it just looks
piece.
like bare metal, like it's just a flat piece of metal, but only when the light is on. And he's like,
Mm,
he's talking about it, and clearly he spent a lot of effort actually getting that detail in there. But he goes, I would never expect someone to point at that and talk about it as if it was a feature. You know,
mm,
I don't want people. He's saying he doesn't want people to notice that it's there, although he put so much effort in it. But he knows that at some level of consciousness, it's organizing, it's bringing a certain kind of like clarity and space and unclutter, the opposite of clutter, into your world, right? And he
mm,
doesn't even care. He doesn't care if you notice it, because at some
mm,
level it is having that effect.
mm. Yeah, like I don't know, like because I'm a person that's always interested in why things are placed or why things are done, and just I want to find the meaning behind stuff. So like at work, people think I'm a bit like nuts because I just know like really random facts about stuff that I shouldn't really know, you know? Um, because I'm just like really curious. The first thing is like I just open up Google and just start typing like the history of this, you know?
Yeah.
Um, because it's just I just want to understand like the thought process and the design process of bringing an idea, or how did the idea come about to the person's brain, right? Like so that's why I think actually when people talk about original artwork, I feel like unless you're in an isolated island that you grew up by yourself, right, with no external influence, so like you grew up in a room, right? Okay, let's say you grew up in a room, white walls, even then I think that still has an environmental impact on your thought process.
Mm,
So it's like everything that we see has an influence. So like nature's is the only original thing because it came before us. So anything that we see, we can't really say it's my original thought.
mm,
Like you must have somehow seen things and subconsciously created a new shape or form that
mm,
is resembling, different things you saw in your lifetime.
mm,
Um, so that's why yeah, I try like to I like to understand how is that artwork or how is that thing done,
mm,
because for me in my work as well, because I look at processes and how to make things easier for people, and it's exactly what the guy did with the MacBook. I want it to be so seamless that they just go about their, other jobs and make this as less painful as possible.
Mm.
Um, and that's, yeah.
Yeah, I understand about your comment on originality, and somehow people and their egos get so wrapped around
Mm,
like wanting to own an idea. Like, this is my
mm,
idea. This set of brain things combined, that's mine. And nobody
mm,
else. They can't touch it.
mm.
It's a strange thing. It's a real strange thing. I agree with you.
Do you think it's the ego, or do you think it's the legal part? I think it mostly could be driven by legal issues of, I think it makes the business or whatever you're trying to do to make money
Mm.
easier if you own something, right?
Mm.
But
Potentially, like, I can't
mm,
imagine hunter gatherers or like
mm,
people making their own bows and shit, right?
mm.
And then they get shot by a good bow. It's like, oh shit, that's way better than mine. And if he
Yeah,
copies it,
yeah,
and he goes hunting next day and like
yeah.
he gets some nice kills. The other guy who came up with that bow originally, he's like, yo, what up, man? You can't shape stones like I do.
But that extends to what pharmaceuticals do, right? So they invent something, but their IP is protected, so that eventually it could be, I don't know, provided to everyone in the world, but it doesn't. It gets privatized, and so it's like, I guess originality kind of makes sense in a legal sense, but reality, I think nothing's really original because we grew up looking at things externally or feel
Mm,
things and hear things.
mm.
So yeah.
Especially if you look at kind of the more artistic pursuits, like music, for instance. If you hear, it start at any point in music, and
Mm,
you can ask, oh, who are their influences? Who are their influences? What kind of
mm,
music was the parents of that musician listening to? Oh, the Beatles. Oh,
mm,
that makes sense,
mm,
right?
mm.
And you know, it, blues musicians, like, super simple. Like, you can just trace back almost every lick to like a previous generation. And
Yeah.
it's like much more, like, way more free. you know
Mm,
but
mm,
I know that there's this concept in breakdancing culture called like, don't be a biter. Like, oh, he got bit
like,
means like someone stole like
oh
his
yeah,
original move. you know
yeah,
and then,
yeah.
like, if you're gonna steal someone's move, they say you have to flip it. You can't just do
Mm,
that guy's move. You have to get it and then flip it and make it your own.
mm, mm,
And there's like this
yeah.
huge disrespect thing in the breakdancing community, um,
Okay.
of biters.
Hey, I mean, okay, while talking about this, I was just thinking of, like, let's say you're growing up in this white room where there's no mirrors. The only thing you can actually see is but your face, right? Let's say nothing's reflecting, so you don't actually get to even see what you look like. Imagine growing up for, like, 10 or 20 years of your life, not knowing what you look like, and just imagine seeing a mirror and seeing what you look like. Imagine that, like, you just be like, what the I'm not okay. I'm not smoking anything right now, but that's like, it's just a random thought that I get sometimes. It's like, wow, imagine imagine not knowing what you look like and you look at yourself for the first time.
This is why I talk to you, man. To have the this is exactly why I talk to you. Talk about the important shit in life.
Oh,
Right.
I'm glad you find it amazing. Oh, amusing.
But but just on that topic though, I was gonna ask,
Yeah. Yes.
what was your experience like moving to a foreign country where you don't know the language at such a young age? Like, what do you remember? What stands out to you as kind of uh, key
Yeah.
memories?
So, like, I read about because quite frankly, I don't really remember a lot about my childhood. Like, a lot of my memories that I have is actually not true. Like, I would recall a memory and my dad would say that that's not how it happened. And sometimes, like, your brain apparently, like, makes up two different instances and records it as a memory. Um, but anyway, that's another thing. But the the only thing that kind of I remember is like feeling that really like you're different. So I think as a young age, I had this cultural shock, is like a term, right?
Mm.
Cultural shock of you just feel so different that you almost don't like yourself because you feel like you're an alien. Like like obviously with the whole racist thing that's going on at the moment, like it's just like at a young age, you don't even think that that's going to impact your life, but it does, right? Like it impacts your confidence, it impacts the way you kind of look at life.
Mm.
Um, so for
How old
me,
were you?
yeah, I was 10. I think I came around 2000. You know when the Koreans sort of started coming to New Zealand around
Sure.
that time,
Yeah.
around to botany. You know,
Yeah.
botany, Howick, yeah, that
Represent.
era.
Yeah.
Because were you born? You weren't born in New Zealand. I remember you
No,
you
no.
were born in the States or something, right?
No, no. I was born in Australia, and then I lived in
Oh, that's
Korea
right.
until I was 10, and then moved
Oh,
over end of 1999. So I was just
that's right.
a little bit before you.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So like, I remember growing up in New Zealand, feeling like I don't belong anywhere, and I like didn't really like myself. And then I went to Korea for 2 years when my parents got divorced, and this was like around 2007, and I was like 15 at the time. And man, like I felt so good to be in a place where I felt like I didn't exist.
Mm.
Okay, it's like because everyone looks the same, everyone, you know, is you, like looks like you and talks like you. You can just blend in and you don't have to be this person. You don't have to be labeled as the cool Asian in the group or the Asian. Like you don't have to be categorized because you're just a person. Or you might not even be a person. You could be whatever you want.
Mm.
I felt that kind of freedom of like and just knowing that okay, there is that cultural. But some people don't, like my sister doesn't feel that, because she grew up in a much younger
Mm.
um time for her. So I think I don't know. And it's also just like if you put emphasis into that as part of your life as well.
What do you think? What were the specific things do you think that contributed to making you feel alienated? Like for me, for
Mm,
instance,
mm,
right? Like the lunch that I bring to school,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I'd have like my tiered lunch boxes, you know, and my little chopstick case,
yeah,
plastic chopstick case with your chopsticks in it.
yeah,
And you have your seaweed, you have your rice,
yeah.
like you have some kimchi in there, and you're like,
Fried eggs.
you have fried
Yeah,
eggs, some spam, you're just like,
yeah.
yeah, this I'm looking forward to this. And then, but when I specifically remember in New Zealand, like I was embarrassed to have that lunch in
Same,
front of people. So
same.
for the first while, like I remember going sitting on a bench by myself, just like looking around, and then okay, I'm safe, I can eat now. And
Mm,
nobody told me to do that. you know
mm,
um
mm,
nobody specifically said anything to me that made me do that, but I just knew that that's what I should do for some reason. What were some of the things for you that made you feel potentially the way you did?
yeah. So yeah, like I even didn't even bring Korean. I told specifically gave to pack, white people food like sandwiches for lunch
Yeah.
because I was just so embarrassed to have that kind of because I remember bringing some and then everyone's like, "What the fuck is that?" It's like so I think as a kid because you're not nowadays I think it might be different because everyone knows what Korean barbecue is. Everyone knows what bubble tea is. Asian culture's really been and let's say like their brother or sister is probably dating an Asian dude, right? Let's be honest. Most like there's always an Asian person in a white person's family now.
Mm.
It's that common. So now it's a lot more globalized and more educated and it's less sensitive. But I think when we first arrived to New Zealand, we were probably the only Asian kids in that school, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially we were there when botany and like how it became, like when they started to become the Asian town.
Mm,
Um, so they it was foreign. So obviously we were aliens,
mm,
and so the comments will be, and obviously as kids, when you don't understand something, you start to. I think it's a human nature is to mock it or to criticize it and to make you feel like you're not part of that group.
mm.
I think it's a very human societal thing, and it still exists now. Like if you're weird, if you're different, they
But
call you weird, right?
what did they do to make you feel that way though? Was it just you making you feel that yourself feel that way?
No, like I mean, obviously, like they would call me like, your eyes are small, your like why is it small? Like they'll just start questioning you things that you don't even want to think about. Like you never thought
Mm,
about like why are they small? I never knew that it was a thing.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they would comment on every little thing that's different about you, that you go home and you think to yourself, like, why am I different? Right? Whereas like I said, if you go to Korea,
Mm,
you're just one of them, you're just one of the people, you don't even exist.
mm,
And sometimes that's a good feeling if you've been exposed to that. Um yeah, and I don't know, yeah, it's like why does your face look like that, or why do you eat this way, and why do you talk this way? It's just they will question you in a way that's like, it was like an authoritative, I guess, because they're like,
mm,
we are here, and obviously they would say like, go back home. I think that
mhm.
was a very, for no reason, it would just be like, you're different, so go back home. um yeah,
Yeah.
bullying
Tough
is
beginnings.
what I would say. Bullying.
Yeah. I did you experience that? Because
Yeah. Mm.
I never knew. It was interesting because I think you were in my class,
Mm.
and I'm sure you noticed this too. That there's this phenomena where Asian ethnic folks clump together.
Yeah.
They just kind of gravitate toward each other and make this like pact. You know.
Yeah. It was me, you, Brian, and Rayfield. We were playing handball in Point View. That was our Asian crew. We used to play Pokemon.
Yeah.
Um, and Daniel An and Albert Jong also came along. Robin Kim.
Oh man, memories, memory lanes. But it was also interesting how that kind of group split later on into
Yeah.
the more speak fluent English, have white friends, basically,
Yeah.
and basically another kind of clique, which is the pure Korean, the pure Chinese kind of clique that I
Yeah.
remember. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they don't
Yeah.
care. They don't care that their English is still a bit choppy. They'll get by. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. They've been in New Zealand for like 20 years, but the English is still like fob. But it's all right for them, It's like doesn't they don't mind it. Um, yeah, I don't know. Having, I think, even being in like a interracial relationship and like living with them for such a long time, um, it's sort of like changed me in a way that's like I can see the cultural differences, and one of them is like family. So like Asian culture, us especially like Koreans, we're very family kind of orientated and driven, and it's centered around like our culture centered around like things that are not very common for like Westerners, which is like food, um, laughter, like sitting around and just talking about like funny stuff as a family, right? Like it's a very Korean thing, and watching talk shows, and it's just very different to what you know Western society is like. um Late night snacks, all that shit's like not, it's foreign to them. So it's, I think, yeah, it's just I think people weren't open minded back then, but now everyone, now it's like it's almost to a point. Korean culture is such a um it's like it's been fetish. It's like it's too much now. It's like a fetish where like all these people be like, oh my god, Korean drama, Korean this, Korean that. It's like I'm also like, oh, and now I'm like, okay, like I don't want to even be associated to Korea now. Just like once again, like they've appropriated so much, and it's just become so cringe, you know.
Korean fried chicken, Korean barbecue, K-pop, K-drama, like all.
Like they just think that every Korean like dude needs to look like they're from BTS, you know? Like what about me that's got fucking bald hair? Like where do I fit in?
Oh man, that's real, man. That's 100% real. Um, so from that point, like
Yeah.
you got to New Zealand, like you figured out how to get by, how's life turned out differently from how you imagined? Like, can you walk me through some of the progressions of how you got from high school, what you thought you were gonna do, to now? What?
Okay. So like when I was in, until I got to high school, I was just, the only one thing that I cared about most was women. Somehow my puberty hit, and all I thought about was women. I dropped my Pokemon games. I dropped all the games I used to play, and now it became all about what is this thing called woman? Oh, what is this being called woman? Right? Um, and it's like a new concept because you're like, wow, like why do I feel this way about someone?
A new concept. Yeah.
It is. It's like from before then you're like, what? Like you don't even think about it or feel a certain way, and then you get this new feeling, and you feel the changes in your body, right? Your voice drops, you get pubic hair, you know, you just change, you just go through these mad changes,
Yeah.
and you're just like, what the hell's going on? um, so when I got to high school, still I didn't know what I wanted to do. I really enjoyed like graphic design, because I like learned to do Photoshop. Just like, okay, so the reason why I got into Photoshop was that I wanted to edit my like pimples that I used to have, and then yeah, legit, well, that was the only reason. And then to change the color of like, I want to make it retro, you know, like you would with like old Polaroids or whatever. That was legit
Back
the
in high
only
school,
reason.
wow, you're ahead
Yes,
of the trend.
I was legit like wanting that Instagram um filter kind of look. Um, and then I got into really like I got into cars, and I wanted to modify cars. I used Photoshop to modify cars. and then I realized like, yeah, like I really want to get into this graphic design thing. And so my
Mm.
dad was like, New Zealand's got a lot of boats. Why don't you get into boat design? And I actually like studied a little bit of boat design actually.
What?
And look, I was gonna enroll into Unitech boat design school.
Oh man.
No one would know this, but yeah.
Uh,
And then I mean, don't get me wrong. At this stage, I'm still only thing I'm thinking about is woman, because at this stage I've never been with a woman, I've never kissed a woman, I've never held hands with a woman. So I'm like scared. It almost becomes like a scared thing, right? Like
mm,
you develop like you're scared to talk to a woman. Well, for my personality, it
mm,
was. Um, so yeah, and then when I went to Korea actually, so in year 12 I left botany to go back to Korea with my dad, and I went to an international school. And to be honest, then I actually really figured out kind of like what I liked. So like I really got into fashion. I got into like music. I had friends that really liked like Kanye and stuff, and that's when Kanye was doing this really cool blog, which now is what Hypebeast is. Um, and then yeah, that's when I kind of like got into this whole, you know, the street hype, the hype beast culture, and I was just like, yeah, this is so cool, I love it. And then I came back to New Zealand to go to uni. So turns out that I didn't have level 2 English because I left at year level 1, so I had to do year 13 again. So I ended up going to my sister's school, which they had, you know, it was an artistic school, right? So it was Western Springs. Everyone wore mufti, even from like year 9. They were all about, you know, all these like music artists and model kids. That's where they went to. So I started hanging out with those like model friends and stuff. So I got into modeling as well, and I was just like, this is so cool because I like fashion. I want to get with like models. and then I didn't like it because like I'm like, this is so like stressful because your job's not very like stable. Because at the time now, like at this stage, I'm like, okay, I want to make a lot of money because to afford this lifestyle, I need a lot of money.
Yeah. You pay for the cars to take the woman around it. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and to have like a flashy, you know, like architectural house that has like no function, but it just looks fucking awesome, right? Like those like square top, like flat top houses. Everyone's like, where's the water gonna go? I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I want it to look fucking flat. I want the whole house to be surrounded by glass and a fucking tree in the middle. You know, I don't give a fuck. I just want it that way. But yeah, like okay, so with modeling, people think it's just like being skinny and like, you know, just like doing the runway and getting to photo shoots, but it's like you got to know the right people as well. But also you're waiting for like your makeup to be done and all that stuff, you know. So it's actually hard work, but also it's like it's if you're not into it, I wasn't into it. I'm like, I don't like waiting around to put makeup on my face. I don't That's not me. Um and everyone's like a bit pretentious, like everyone becomes like a fucking, you know, becomes somehow a world leader in like climate change all of a sudden overnight, and it's like, okay. And then they'll go and eat, like, you know, they're like, oh yeah, I'm vegetarian, but then they'll eat Macca's at night, you know, after after a night out. It's like, okay. I'm not saying all models are like that, but like the ones that I knew were kind of like that, and I was just like, okay, it's a bit I wanted to find then like, what do I truly like? So at school I was okay in chemistry, like okay, and I was like, I might just do something that I'm okay in. And then I got to uni once again. I'm like, oh my god, there's so many like women here, so I started chasing more women. I was like, wow, out of
That's why
all
you studied
sciences,
chemistry.
yeah, I was like, out of all sciences, there's a lot of girls in chemistry. I'm gonna stick to chemistry.
Oh,
Legit. That's like I've based my life decisions on pretty much one aspect
it's an
of my
important
life.
aspect, man.
Well, biologically, we're all born to reproduce, so I was doing what I was born to do. Hashtag I'm not sorry.
Oh man.
Well, yeah, well then when I got to uni, that's when I knew, like, yeah. Um Actually, I didn't know then. I still don't know what I want to do now. That's my conclusion. I actually still am figuring out what I want to do in life,
Yeah.
and
This
what
was
my passion is.
during uni when you were studying chemistry.
This is still me, like with a full-on job. I still don't know what I want to do in my life. Actually, because when you realize, like, when you know, when you don't know what you're passionate about,
Mm.
um, like I like my job, like I love my job, but loving something and what you're really passionate about, that's not nothing to do with money and like, you know, like you said, like
Mm.
nothing to do with um clicking a button. It's just like it becomes natural to you. I haven't figured that out yet. I don't know.
Mm.
Um
But
and so
you're still looking, right?
yes.
You're
Yeah.
still trial and error. You're still going at it, right?
Exactly.
still think there is more to learn. There are more adventures out there, right? And you're willing to take the risks, right?
Yeah.
The, that's I'm not sure if you know this, but you're a rare person in that way. You
Okay.
know? No, I'm serious. I'm serious, man. Because because I think a lot of people just kind of give up and just accept the 9 to 5. Accept the
Okay.
9 to 5. They're gonna, they'll reorient. They're like, okay, no, I'm gonna get a house. That's my goal now. And I'm gonna go traveling. But that pursuit of towards finding a passion, towards uh, finding something that you can be productive in that becomes in line with yourself. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people lose motivation to even find that, or even lose belief that it's out there. Right? What do you think it is about you that has kept you curious? And in search of this.
Mm, mm, mm. Um, so yeah, like um actually everything in life like drives you to this. So like, everything does happen for a reason. So for me, I was so okay after my actually during my PhD, I realized like I really wanted to be wealthy. Not because I love money, it's just that it's a tool that I can use to do nice things for people, or do things for my family, to do things for myself. It's just an enabler. It enables you to do more stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and then when I was doing, like during my PhD, and then I started learning about commercialization, and then like how to start up things. So I've actually tried to start up, a company, like an augmented reality company, in 2018. Um, that didn't really go well because I knew what I wanted to do, but I liked the technology as well. I still believe in the technology, but it just like the limitation was I didn't have much time because I was doing my postdoc,
Hmm.
and in my spare time. So this is like after work, and at the time I was also living with my ex-girlfriend, or um, ex-partner at the time. So it's like, how do I balance all of this?
Hmm.
Because I literally was looking at YouTube videos, kind of trying to code, because I've never done coding before, and I literally got together an MVP that I could be like, yes. And I got some video guys to actually film at a store. So I contacted the store and I was like, I've got this product that I would like to film in your store. Where I'm just a startup, so I went through all that stuff, and then I was gathering all this information to sell my product to venture capitalists and all that. But then it was just too much on my own, and I was I was too busy, and I was getting too stressed.
Hmm.
1 year later, I'm in Australia, right? So I got a job here. I moved with my ex-girlfriend, and I'm still trying to get something done because I'm like, I'm in a new country, so I'm gonna start something new. So I start to look into doing drop shipping, because at this stage I'm like, okay, now I've proposed to my girlfriend. I want to start a family, and that's what I thought I wanted. Um, at the time, I did want that, but I think um, I think yeah, like you also feel that there's differences with your partner, and then you just can't lie to the
Hmm.
person that you love, that you don't love them anymore. So I mean that's another story, but so yeah, like I'm at this stage I'm like breaking down because I'm like I don't know why, but I get anxious about like the future, and I was just like I gotta make money now, I gotta get money now.
Hmm.
So I was like driving towards money, which is what a lot of like gurus are like, you shouldn't do that, right? You should find your passion. So at this stage I don't understand that, so I'm just trying things, learning new skills,
Hmm.
grinding. I'm fucking tired of shit, not eating well, and my happiness is like zero at this point, like literally like kind of like not clinically depressed, but like depressed enough that I'm like, what's the point of like waking up tomorrow? Not that I wanted to like kill myself, it's the different thing. It's just
Hmm.
more like, what is the point of waking tomorrow if tomorrow's gonna be the same?
Yeah.
So I go through that, and then I go through the breakup as well. And then here I am with the fucking bushfires in Australia. And then I survived that. And then comes the COVID. I had planned this massive trip to US with my friend, and I was like, I'm gonna go to Coachella. I'm gonna do all this traveling. Now that I'm single, I'm gonna discover myself, right? And then boom, COVID. I had to cancel everything. Bam. And then my dreams are like, fuck, it's all crushed. But then I look into myself, and I talk to my sister a lot. My sister's like my best friend. And she tells me, this is a good time to actually reflect on your life. And so I start to look at, why am I repeating things, some toxic things in my life? Why am I repeating that? And then I realized, I picked up this book. It's called it's like breaking yourself from your habit or something. I'll tell you later, but it talks about sorry?
What's the book?
Oh, it's in my room. Where is the book? Okay, it's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself: How to Lose Your Mind and Create a New One. It's by Dr. Joe Dispenza. He comes onto the impact theory a lot. And honestly, I realized then why I had studied chemistry and why I had done or experienced things in my life, because I picked up the book and it correlates or explains the power of meditation and your consciousness with quantum physics, right? Quantum theory. And everything just starts to make sense. I'm like, honestly, I was just like, this is the new beginning for me, right?
So hang on, how did it explain why you did chemistry?
Okay, so in that book, it talks a lot about quantum physics and how that relates to why meditating allows you to create your own life, and why you have the ability to create the future that you want. And the positive thoughts that you have in your mind. So whatever you think in your mind will be projected onto your real life, into your reality. Let's say you're a sad person, that you always think about something that's going wrong. Bad things gonna go wrong. Things are gonna go wrong because your body will, your subconsciousness and your body will do things that will lead to that event, because that's what you believe in. It becomes your reality. Sad life.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So that book.
I know that the thing that you shouldn't tell to beginning skiers or snowboarders is watch out for the trees. Don't ride towards the trees, right? Because that reframes them to be constantly looking at the trees.
Yeah.
Right? And it makes them more likely to actually head towards the trees.
Yeah.
Right. Then keep looking for the open snow, right? For example. And I'm just kind of curious, because your formal training is that of a scientist.
Yep.
Right. It's very, for lack of a better word, logical and based on observations.
Yep.
Right. But this influence that you're talking about through this book, right? It seems like very
spiritual.
That. Yeah, exactly. How did you do you know what I mean? Do you kind of understand this kind of discrepancy? It's not a discrepancy, but how did you cross that gap?
Well, so my friend thinks I'm a tree hugger, because now I'm into the spirituality stuff. He also thinks I'm a flat earth believer as well. But I think as a joke.
Go into that.
No. So what he means is you study such a logical thing, right? Science is the basis of logic. And what you're saying is your profession was logical thing. How did you get into the spiritual stuff, which is
almost kind of like wishy-washy crystal ball shit, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's like, regardless of the science, your brain, like, your brain is something that like a lot of people are trying to study as well. And in this book, he also does the studies as well. So he brings it on. It's not just like, in my experience it happened. It's more like, here's a bunch of studies, clinical studies that they've done, and just with the power of the mind, they were able to see the effects that they thought it could only be done physically. So with the evidence that they had, but also explaining in a way, because like, with quantum physics, like, let's say to find out where your, let's say this thing called electron is in its like little space, like once you try to like look at where it is, then it acts like a different thing. It acts like a particle. Whereas if you don't look at it, then it acts like a wave, right? That duality, wave particle duality.
Yeah.
So then he talks about then applying that principle. It's like you are the observer into your life and into your your life, or whatever endless possible opportunities or your events that will happen in your life are like where your electron could be, or this particle could be. So if you can then, through like meditation and stuff, and just to be in a positive mind to see where you would be in that future time, you actually have traveled. You've traveled to the future, and you've seen yourself, what you will be doing and what you will have like accomplished, or what you are doing at the moment. So the book just doesn't tell you about, close your eyes, hum, and then like think about positive things. He talks about think about positive things, but also feel that as well, because feeling and then seeing in your mind it tricks your body. Really, it just tricks your body and your mind to think that it's actually real. So he's saying, like, what's the difference between actually experiencing something in real life or in your brain that you could emulate in a way, because if you already kind of know. So in a nutshell, it's saying like, you got to, if you're not happy with the way you are, like, you've really got to break yourself, because your body and your brain and your thoughts are just trained habits. And so like, and also like, even being negative and having negative thoughts and being doubtful about things is a trained habit. Because your brain wants to be in its lowest state, and apparently the lowest state energy states are like being sad and being depressed, and that's why your brain wants to be in that state all the time.
It's almost like a groove that you've out. You just walk that road so many times without thinking about it.
Yes.
How there's a groove, and you kind of set in. Right?
Yes.
And you don't even think about it, but that's the path of least resistance now. Right. And to change that now, right, it takes conscious decision, right? And it takes persistence and patience, and like a lot of effort to create a new groove, right?
Exactly.
And it's one of the hardest things that you can do as a human is, I think, carving out that new groove, because even if you lose focus for a little bit, you're back in your old ways.
Yep. Exactly.
And it's interesting to hear more and more people kind of explore these kinds of subjects. For me, like, it's the human brain is the most complex arrangement of matter in the whole universe that we know of. There's nothing more complex and messed up than what's in our brains, right? It's not anywhere else. And one of the ways that I like to think about the profession of design, it's something that I've been thinking about for a while. What is design? Is it art? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
How is it different from engineering? Like, and one of the ways that I can talk about it is simply the process of being able to manifest in reality
Yeah.
a vision that was once in your head, right?
Mm,
That
mm,
does not exist,
mm.
right? And that's actually a miracle, you know. Like it's if you don't do anything, nothing changes. You have a picture in your head, right? And people, everyone on the planet actually has the ability to start to realize, start to bring into reality this fictional thing that they
Yes.
can only imagine,
Mm,
right? And it starts from like the smallest things, right?
mm.
It's like, I want a cup of coffee, right? Right now, you don't have a cup of coffee in front of you, right? And
Mm.
Mathematically, what are the chances that the molecules required for a cup of coffee, including the cup, will materialize spontaneously in front of you? That arrangement of matter, right, would just spontaneously
Mm,
like
mm, mm,
come to you,
mm.
right? It's like zero. It's almost impossible, right? But you
Yeah.
actually have the ability to have that thought, right? And
Yes.
moments, right? Put the things together, put these different arrangements of matter together to have yourself this experience,
Yes.
right? And I feel like any other thing that you can imagine for yourself, right? Whether it is like a thing about your career, like the, climbing Mount Everest, or like
Mm.
applying for a job somewhere, or creating some kind of music. For me, it's the extension of a same project process, right? Where you have the image first, where you have the vision
Yes.
first that you want
Mm-hmm.
to manifest,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you basically, like, this kind of gets interesting. uh you basically uh decrease the distance between that version of reality and the current reality,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
um and it's kind of scary thinking about um the fact that it's actually a distance thing, like physical distance,
Yeah.
right? Like the act of sanding something,
Yeah.
right, down
Mm.
from like a square to a round thing, right? Square is the current reality, sphere is like the
Mm.
reality that you want to get to, and sanding
Mm.
literally is decreasing the distance between the previous arrangement and the one that you want, right? And anything that you want, like let's say that you want to build a rocket, you can think about it as all you have to do is decrease the distance, right, between these completely different types of matter. You bring them together and you arrange it in this space,
Mm-hmm.
and you have your rocket.
Yeah. Essentially,
um,
you are the architect of of your reality, and that's what's it's like scary, because once you realize that only you can create your own life,
mm,
as cheesy as it sounds, but to actually put that into context, it's actually very hard, because your body is already trained to be someone else by how you grew up, like you said,
mm,
what we talked about before, how you grow
mm,
up, external factors, your experiences will put you into these habits that is not you, or it's temporarily you.
mm. Well,
Um,
you didn't consciously design that version of you, right?
no, you didn't.
It's like one of my when I speak to people in high school, one of the things that I try to encourage is have an opinion about something, have an original opinion about something.
Mm,
And it's really hard at that stage, because
mm.
now, especially with the state of how everything's vying for your attention, like I feel it's really easy to become just a collection of other people's opinions that you've taken on,
Yeah.
right? Oh, this person thinks this person thinks this is cool, right? And I like this person, so that is cool. That's not an
Yes.
original opinion.
No,
You
it's
know what I
not.
mean?
It's like affiliated marketing in a way.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Who who has been your biggest influence as a creative?
As a creative.
Yeah, as a creative mind, because I know you are a creator of art, businesses, chemicals.
Well, I am trying because I don't think I found something that I really like as passionate about to actually like go through it all. But I guess my main, yeah, like someone that's really helped me to be who I am. I guess, okay, when I say Kanye, people say like, oh my God, you like the whole like crazy psychotic dude that you know people know Kanye for. But it's like if you really followed his path from the era, like when internet was booming and blog was just like a thing that, you know, like Tumblr was a big thing back then, right? But Kanye had his own blog, which had, let's say, okay, so back then, like rappers were
I have
rappers.
no idea. I have no
Okay.
clue. Like, please, like, go deep.
So rappers back then or musicians, right? They only wore like big baggy pants and like, you know, rocked the chains and like cool cars, right? They didn't have their own persona or things that were different from the rap culture. I grew up listening to rap and then hip hop, and I liked basketball, so I kind of like was really into that African American culture. But then here comes Kanye with his blogs, and back then, you know, your internet's slow, but you're still trying to see that's really something that's cool. So like you have to go to these individual websites. There was no central point where you could go and find something that's cool in one place. Kanye originally, I don't know if it was just him, but like he had this blog which he put some crazy shit that I was just like, wow, it's ahead of time. So he posted like things about architecture that was like, it's like cool now, like, you know, or he would post artwork that's like George Condo or, you know, just some crazy, like, you know, even Cause, let's say, as the artist. He'll post him and then he'll post things about clothing. It's not just like streetwear. So to have something that for me, like I love the diversity, how he just brought in all this cool stuff, not just as a musician, he just didn't produce music. He brought on that lifestyle. He brought on that hype beast, cool, minimalistic lifestyle. And I still to this day is still inspired by some of the things I saw at that period, that his blogging period. And now, you know, you've got Instagram. That I didn't have Instagram back then, right? There was no Instagram, there was no Facebook. So it was just purely either you had Tumblr or you had, for me, it was Kanye's blog. And the way he dressed, things he exposed me to things in life, like even just like architecture to art, it made me paint a picture in my head like of what I wanted. I didn't even know that minimalistic thing was a thing. I didn't know that like being OCD is a thing about, you know, like, so he's been a very big part in allowing me to kind of explore different things in life and not to be categorized as one person, like as a chemist or, you know, I don't like to think that because I studied PhD, I'm a chemist, right? Like my sole purpose, I kind of know, okay, so I know what my purpose is. I know my goals are, like where I want to be in life, like let's say in 10 or 5, I know where I want to be in 5 years. I know where I want to be in 10 years, where I want to be in 20 years. I know where, but I just don't know how, right? But then I realized through meditation that how is something that will just come along and you just have to live. I don't need to be scared about things now because I know where I will be. I've already been there. I've already reached there and came back.
Mm-hmm. What's you said you knew your purpose. Can you share that?
Yes. So my purpose is actually to just experience cool stuff and then share the experience with people and make sure that everyone else is on the same vibe as me. You know, that's my purpose.
It's very minimal.
Yeah, like I don't want to experience something just for myself. I want to experience something and be like, oh my God, this was amazing. I want to like bring it to people. Like it's almost like, and also really like helping people with problems. So it's like a facilitator, which fits my job. So like I said, like I love my job, but it's not something like, you know, in a sense, I want to do something that I'm passionate about.
Craft.
Crafts, and, you know, or create something, or, you know, but it's all yeah, like at this stage, that's my sort of purpose, is to like help people.
It's awesome, man. And how has meditation helped you?
Because like I'm not anxious about the future, because you're only anxious about your future when you think it's out of your control. But once you know that your future is within your control, it's how you think, how you project yourself. This is where people think I'm like, you know, I believe in the crystals. And you know, it's like, through meditation, if you're already in the future and if you feel like you've already lived whatever you were thinking of, what is the difference, like, to actually experiencing it in real life? You know what I mean? Like, you ate an apple in your meditation, and you tasted like apple, and it was so nice. It was like crunchy, it was fresh, right? It's like, you already know that feeling, and you already feel good about it in your head. You experienced it. It's augmented. And now in real life, you taste it. Yeah, it's the same. It's heightened, but it's still got the same. Your brain sends the same chemical to be like, hey, he ate an apple, he likes it, so make him happy. Create endorphin, like create dopamine, or create serotonin, because he's happy. So that, in that sense, meditation has really helped me. Or actually, this guy Joe Dispenza has helped me through his book to realize, like, I can create the future that I want. It doesn't always go to the plan as I meditate, obviously, like, but there's always, like, you know, it's just being positive about things. Like, obviously people might say, yeah, it didn't happen, so what are you going to do about it? Well, maybe there's another meaning to it which I didn't see. Just being optimistic about things.
I guess most of all, you're in control of the only thing that you can be in control of.
Yes.
Yourself.
Yeah.
Right. It's just no point, I reckon, giving any amount of energy to things that's outside of your control. What are you gonna do about it? You know? I'd rather spend that energy elsewhere.
Yes.
You know, but you know, people want to have this pity party.
Oh yeah,
you know?
yeah.
They want this experience of like, oh, that was shit. You know, let's wallow in this shitty feeling together for a while. Please empathize with me in this dark place for a bit.
Yeah.
And share this experience. I'm like, no, man, I got no time. I only have a finite amount of energy, unfortunately.
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, like that's why I'm not, like, actually, to be honest, I've kind of minimalized my life. So I stopped, like, doing my businesses. I've closed all that down. I'm literally just focusing on one thing, which is just trying new things. Because I realize if you're doing a business, it's just real life. Like, it's not a exercise, right? Like, you've got clients, you got things, you know, to provide, and deadline. If you're not really passionate about it, all of that shit doesn't matter. Like, everything will just become work. And I realized, until I find something that I really truly enjoy, that could be like, by the time I'm 80, I still may not have found something, but you know what? Tough. That's going to be my life. Like, if I find something that I truly like doing at 80 and start a business, then that's going to be when I start my business, or when I know that that's something I want to do.
Yeah, man. And dude, you know what? Like, passions change also. You know, one day you might wake up and feel like, oh man, this thing that I've been loving for the last 20 years is now it's a jail, right? Now it's limiting me, right? But everyone else thinks that that is what I do. That's me, right? And it takes so much courage to. That is what it is. Courage is movement in spite of fear, right? It's not movement without acknowledging the fear. It's like, no, you fear it, but you're still going out there into the chaos, right? To see if you can discover something again, and that's just gonna be constant, you know. You're never gonna grow out of it.
Do you feel like your passion has changed over time?
Absolutely. Yeah, for the first time I found passion was when I discovered design, as a craft. And I tried different things. I tried engineering. I tried working in hospitality, and when I finally got to design, literally on the first week of design, it occurred to me that there is no answer at the end of the textbook in design. Everything else that I've ever done had the end of the textbook chapter with all the answers. Right. And that's what I needed to get right. That's what I needed to practice. Right. So in design, first week of design, I created something really simple. I finished a 2-week assignment in maybe 20 minutes, and I was so shy, right? Because I feel like I have something, but I feel like also that I haven't put enough study hours, like effort, digging, memorizing shit.
Yeah.
To have earned this thing, right? And I just like showed it to my tutor. I was like, hey, like, is this okay? Like, is this what you meant? Right? And he just took that and he was like, you finished. You're done. Right? You're done.
Wow. Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, oh man, like I can create myself the answers, to the problems that I see. And it was like a superpower, and it was like, I'm not going to get penalized for looking like ultimately being a lazy person and finding very elegant shortcuts to things. It's and every project would be like, design a cup, and I'd be, what is a cup? What is a cup? What is the little, like, what is the little functionally as possible, right, that you could label a cup? Is a dish a cup? And I'll just be able to completely mess with the territory of what was known and what people expected something to be, right? And it was so freeing. Right? And years years went by, and I really enjoyed it. And at some point I kind of lost touch with it, in a way. I'm discovering it again now, but for a while my passion really changed to people, understanding people, because I didn't want to be a part of this this kind of industry that creates useless things, just to satisfy people's egos, right? And after the 12th time someone asked you, oh, I think I need an app, right? And you're like, why do you need an app? And you realize actually you don't need that person does not need an app. Like, it's just, and I'm sorry if I'm not going to do this for you, because it's not what you actually need. I'll be wasting your time and money. And so I realized, no, I'd like to understand people, including myself, to be able to, ultimately get down to the core of why a problem exists, right? And sometimes the designing of the solution for that, it's like your design solution is only going to be as good as the analysis of the forces around that problem, right? And your analysis of the forces around that problem is only going to be as good as the quality of the questions that you're able to ask, right? And so if the quality of the questions that you're able to ask is, what's your favorite color? Where do you want the buttons? Right? What do you want to happen when you click this button? If that's the quality of your questions, right? That's the depth of your analysis, then the solution will literally be skin deep. It's only after asking why a bunch of times and hitting a 500 dead ends and you go talk to some completely unrelated chemist down the road. Sometimes you get an insight that's worthwhile actually spending resources to solve. So yeah, I've passions do change, and I watched a documentary recently that a friend of mine asked me to watch. It's the Beastie Boys documentary. Shout out to Ollie. Thanks for me. And in there was a quote. Someone was accusing one of the members of the Beastie Boys of being a hypocrite, and for changing, right? And this guy, he turns back to that person and goes, "I'd rather be a hypocrite than someone who never changes." And yeah, and so in that vein, like I'm a really big believer in not letting your past limit your options for the future.
Yeah.
And I always believe that if you have the right mindset, your past contains the keys to let you get to the next step. So I mean this in a really practical way. It's like someone might be waiting cafes, working in cafes, for 15 years, right? And they suddenly realize that they want to be a filmographer, right? And they might think, I have no business being in film. I know nothing about film. All I know is waiting tables, right? They could think that way. Or they could think, I've spent 15 years waiting tables. I've seen so many conversations go down in this cafe, right? I know how arguments escalate. I know how situations, I know what a good vibe looks like. I know what a good group of people, I know what a first date looks like. I know what a divorce conversation might look like. I'm going to apply that to film.
Yeah, yes.
Or, oh, fuck, I've been drowning in online video games, World of Warcraft for the last 8 years, right? Now I realize I want to be, an engineer, right? And it's like, it's too late. I've spent 8 years doing this. Everyone else is 8 years ahead. You can have that mindset, right? Or you can be like, I understand so well why I was addicted to World of Warcraft, right? I understand the components of that experience so well that I know how to create that for others, for other contexts, right? Or I've explored that strategy. I've explored that strategy, the strategy of being good at that world so well. I'm going to transfer some of that and apply it to the next thing that I want to do. You have to flip it, And I hate it when people like, instead, the most common route is they use their past as an excuse to why they can't proceed into the future, into the thing that they want to do next. You know what I'm saying?
So like, I feel like, yeah, like sometimes it's hard to see the flip on your own. It's like sometimes you will need to, like, I think you get the flip sometimes when you talk to your friends or your family who know you very well, and they are, you know, brave enough to tell you maybe you're doing something wrong, or why don't you look at it this way, when they give you like an honest opinion. Because otherwise, like on your own, yeah, some people can probably see it, but like usually I get quite caught up in trying to achieve one thing. Like you said, if I was the cafe owner, I would be like, yeah, I've only focused on cafes. What can I do with cafe related things? See, like the fact that you could see that, yeah, it could be applied to looking at how people's emotions are and applied it to film. That's so brilliant. Like, you know, like I guess some people can see that if they're looking at you from the outside. Sometimes I find it hard to see it from within.
It's incredibly hard, man. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like, there you go, I gave you the answer, go out and apply it. You know, that's like, you know, that's like that's not gonna work. It's really hard, you know. And obviously, I can't claim to be a master of this for myself either, you know. Sometimes, you know, like there's a lot of things, and you know, this is where kind of luck comes in. I've talked to I've talked to a few other people about on the podcast about this, talking about how, you know, literally on the last conversation, I was talking to a tennis coach, a high performance tennis coach. You should and we're talking about how this tennis coach, he didn't develop a backhand for 20 years into his career. Right? He ran around and hit a forehand, right? And people all around him were telling him like, dude, you need to develop a backhand, otherwise you're gonna hit a wall that you can't get past, right? And you know, like he didn't hear it for 20. He didn't hear it 20 years. He had to experience the pain, right?
Yes.
He had to experience the pain of hitting that wall because he didn't have a backhand, right? And this guy continuously, you know, slamming his backhand. Every other game that this guy was better, right? But after feeling that pain, he's like, oh, I need to work on my backhand, right? And so sometimes people shoot the messenger, right? Like I've heard, you know, people, you know, it's kind of also the reason why in consultancy practices, it is actually more responsible for consultants to charge a larger amount of money, right, than what just literally the cost that goes into their consulting, right? Because, right, let's say you had a real problem in your business, right? And you went to get a haircut, right? And your barber's like talking to you about your business. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, you should fire that. It really sounds like you should fire that guy, your CTO. You know, he sounds like a dick, right? You'll be like, haha, yeah, but we, you know, like you're not gonna pay 2 cents to that, you know. But if you gave a consultant, right, $20,000 to come and audit your company, right, for 2 weeks, right, and he gives you that recommendation, right, inside an envelope, and he says, hey, all your organizational problems, I've looked at it. Number one, you need to fire that guy. Doesn't matter how important it is. He's ruining your culture. He has to go. Right? You paid $20,000. Right? There's now a financial pain that's associated, right, with this recommendation. Right? And now that advice is worth $20,000 to you. It's not worth free advice. It's the same advice. Right? You could have gotten it from the hairdresser and be like, you're right, man. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know how we got to this point, but the question that I want to ask you is,
Yes.
how has your career as a scientist, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it was not an easy feat because I saw you during that time, you know.
Yeah.
You worked hard for that. You know, there were some blood, sweat, and tears in that in your academic journey. Like, how has that training helped you beyond just the silo of you know, chemistry?
Of that chemistry.
Yeah.
Because like you touched upon it just before, I'm a big believer of change. My dad actually used to tell me that I needed to have a backbone. I needed to have a strong color. I was too flexible. I was too much of a chameleon. I changed too frequently. I was this and I was that. So instead of telling me that that's a good thing, he would say that it was a bad thing. And so I've always had the idea that like I shouldn't change, you know. So through chemistry, through my PhD, actually, it's not the chemistry that I learned. I mean, I learned a lot about chemistry.
Your mic is making some strange noises. I'm not sure if you have it covered.
Hello?
Some cloth. Yeah, that's good.
So it's not the chemistry that I learned that I found was valuable through PhD. It was actually the people. Like, you know, you've got some really brainy people. I'm not that brainy. I've got, you know, there's people that were doing PhD that are just like beyond this world. Like, and just being in the same room and being able to just talk about life and just their experiences. And you find some good mentors as well, just throughout things. And it was the experience. So like, I think that's invaluable. Like, and you know, you have people from all around the world. You don't just have people from that country alone. Like PhD is pretty much like you're in a multi, you know, cultural environment where everyone's trying to achieve their own goals, right? So yeah, I learned a lot about people skills. I understood the dynamics of how competitive it is, because everyone wants to be professor, but we know that in reality there's only 0.2% of PhDs to become a professor. That's like lower than winning a lotto, I think. I'm not trying to discourage people that are doing their PhDs right now, because if that's what you really want to do, please go for it. What I'm saying is, I liked the process of you have a problem and you research things. How do you research, and what makes it a valid fact? And how do you provide a solution that is accepted by people? So for me, it was about how do I communicate what I found? Do I present that hard work that I've done into many graphs and many pages of shit that people won't even read, or do I condense it and minimalize it to one page summary that people will look at and be like, oh, okay, that was so simple. Like, so you studied 3 years for that? I'm like, no, I studied 3 years and condensed that shit for you to understand. Because what's the point of me doing stuff that no one understands, right? So I love the point. That's why I love minimalizing shit, because there's so much effort that goes into and thought processes, so that the person doesn't even know why you did that, right? So taking that, and then I don't know, you can pretty much apply to any kind of job or anything that you do in life. Like now I know how to, I'm still trying, like I'm still learning as well, but during PhD time in the lab, let's say, you have limited resources, right? You don't have a lot of funding, so your lab might not have a lot of chemicals or things that you need. So it's a fucking jungle out there. Like, it's literally like,
like, don't touch my shit, don't jeopardize my work, right? My territory. But you still got to share because it's a group. So everyone's your friend, but everyone's also your enemy. So there's a lot of politics involved. So obviously sometimes you want to say what you want to say, and then there might be like an escalated situation. But I learned how to kind of diffuse that in a way. So like learning people skills, how to diffuse escalated situations. How do you get something that you want without directly asking them? That's through collaboration. So how do I make sure that everyone else also wins as well? Collaboration. So so it's I'm fortunate to see that side rather than just looking at, oh yeah, I learned that plastics can also conduct electricity. That's the least interesting part of that I learned through my PhD process.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
No, those some insights, man.
Yeah.
After all this, all of this,
yeah.
If you could go back and talk to that 18-year-old Paul, or talk to someone who's in that exact same position, right? What's something that you might want to say to him, like for him to consider, or would you just like let it play out? What's something that you could
I would tell my old self to just like try stuff. Just like go do it, like spend the money, just do it, like even if you fail, like it's just, and don't don't stress about what's going to happen in the future, because it's about how you create it.
Nice.
But
go on.
No.
I asked you a question before I got you to come on this podcast.
Yeah.
And the question was, it's the same question every time, by the way.
Yeah.
What's a piece of design, physical or virtual, that you would give a 9 out of 10 or more? Did you end up finding an answer to that?
It's just like, I don't know, there's so many. I still couldn't distill down to what kind of design that I liked. But yeah, I don't know. So okay, in a sense,
you had a week, Paul.
I know. It'll come to me, but so for you, what does, okay, first thing that I really couldn't quite grasp is like, what is design? What is the definition of design? Like, to you, what is design?
That's gonna lead to another 2 hours, Paul.
Oh, okay. Just simply, what is design?
But for me, when I ask you that question, I could simply say a product that you have in your life, something that you own, something that you've experienced. It could be going to, Disneyland, or it could be sneakers or a pair of headphones, or it could be, it could be anything that you have experienced. That that you would be happy to say, like, I give this, pull back, I give this 9 out of 10.
Okay.
Or more.
I would say I would give
what's the first thing that came to mind, man?
I would say the headphones. I know it's like so boring, because now, like, you just put me under pressure. Put me in a I would say wireless technology is probably the best, like, design feature that people don't even know how amazing that is.
Says the guy wearing wired headphones right now.
Because mine died. My wireless just died. Because I wear it every day.
Yeah.
The reason why I give, let's say, these AirPods 9 out of 10 or more is that it just fits your ear so well. I've had so much I had a lot of problem with headphones that were goods, right? Like fucking noise cancelling and all that, earbuds. But it just, I don't know, the way that Apple, they design things so that it just fits your ear like it's your own. Like it was designed for you. And two, the fact that it's wireless and it's small and compact, like it just, you have so much more freedom. Like you can talk with both hands and do something,
Your microphone's rubbing against.
Yeah. So yeah, it gives you the freedom to do stuff that, but just like a simple feature, because they must have put a lot of thought and process into how do I compact all this technology, Bluetooth, batteries, rechargeability, all that shit, and sound acoustics into one tiny little product, right? And to still have that kind of shape that we are all used to. Because let's say you have a new technology, people bring it out in the most unusual way that it's like almost like, I don't know how to use this, because people generally don't have time to research things like a lot of us do. They don't care. They're not interested in it. They just want it to work. They just want it to do the things that they paid for. Apple knows how to do that. They know how to give you the product that is just like, it's ready to go. You don't need to put a lot of thought into it. It's so simple, but you know that there would have been a lot of fucking time and effort and, failed projects that led to this. And I'm just a big fan of, like smart devices, because it just enables you to do more in your life.
Man, can you imagine how entitled and arrogant the next generation of technology kids users would be? Just growing up, first pair of headphones, wireless. First pair of glasses, augmented. Just.
But you know what's really interesting part of all this is that we are still stuck with the battery technology that we had for 40 years. If we can find the new battery technology, that will help Tesla become fucking Rolls-Royce. That will make not even Rolls-Royce. It will make it so common. It'll make it so common and durable. It'll become like the Nokia of cars. Like it won't die, right? Like it won't. And like headphones, you won't even need to charge. Or like your phone. Let's say, actually, if they found a new battery system, our devices and our lifestyle will change. 100%. We won't, like our lifestyle and design and everything will change.
Do you know what, just it's interesting coincidence that you talk about Nokia. Do you know what Nokia, the company, was known for?
No.
Before the cell phones? They produced award-winning gumboots.
What?
Yeah, they were like a farm materials tech company.
No.
Yeah. And when mobile phones started coming out, they were like, oh, we need this to be durable, right? We know how to make durable shit.
But it just, it's because they had a problem and they didn't reinvent the wheel, I guess. So it's kind of like, with all these like products, the winning ones are kind of like iterations of a failed prototype that they tweaked,
Always.
right? Always. So it's hard to be the first, I think, because you always will be.
For sure. All right, dude. You brought something. You said you want to talk about something.
Did I?
Yeah. When we had this conversation a week ago, you said, "Can we please talk about this crystal Charmander?"
Oh yes. Okay. So what I like about that guy is that like he like that Korean guy that does the exhibition and sells sunglasses. He gives the experience. Like when you look at the Charmander and the crystals, you feel so many things. For once, because it looks like it's eroded away. It looks like it's like from the future. It looks like it's from the future and has crystallized, right? And the texture of that, like the Charmander, it just looks like it's like sponge, you know, like the materials are so porous and stuff too. Yeah. So he did a collaboration with Pikachu and with Pokemon, and it's amazing that he thought about like how you would open that product as well. So he gives you a glove, right? It's a process. It's the whole experience. You put the glove on. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is I've been actually trying, like as an inspiration, I've been trying to make my own sculptures. So because I've played around with silicon before. I bought some silicon mold, and I've actually got like a little Pokemon Pikachu toy, right, to mold with silicon. And once I took the Pikachu out and it'll have the mold, then I'll pour concrete because I love concrete. Like, I wish I had concrete houses because I love concrete. And so the idea was to make concrete sculptures of like things that we already know, but to add to that, then like I wanted to create these, you know, but to me, okay, to someone it could be like, what's so unique about it? It's just a fucking concrete Pikachu, right? And someone could look at that as like, oh yeah, someone must have just put the crystal in there. Like, what's so cool about it? But when you're actually trying to like emulate, or if you're trying to actually produce similar products, you actually have to like go through trial and error. Like you have to try, you know, molding first, right? And you have to think about, okay, so then how did he erode or create that erosion effect? And then now you like research into like how to carve something, or is it been casted that way? So you have all these like thoughts, and then to think like, how the fuck did he put those crystals in there, embed them in there, like as if it was growing out of it? Those are two different materials. Like you can't grow that shit. Like, and so to produce a product that is so highly desirable because it's something that we already know, but to put his twist to it, which is so minimal. Okay, so apparently this guy's colorblind, so he actually doesn't know what color he's choosing. That's why he likes to use simple colors or just white. But it just looks so like awesome because it looks like it's eroded away, and it looks like it's showing like parts of it that is not natural, because products won't grow like crystals, you know.
I think I could make this.
That'll be amazing, Hans. You know, something that I really wanted to. Okay, now like what I regret not collaborating with is, imagine if we could do this with concrete, and imagine one thing that I really also like to try is the Japanese kitangi. Is it kitangi or kisungi?
No,
you know, okay, so like, you know how Japanese love to keep their bowls, and they, once it's cracked, they use gold to like bind them.
I have no idea. I had no idea.
Oh, okay. This could be actually, like, off the record, this could be our, like, we could try something. Make a chess set out of, like, Pokemon characters, right?
Yeah.
And each cement is individually broken and put together, and it has gold running through it. So if you type in kitangi or kitsungi, it's a Japanese way of bringing broken pieces together. So they glue it and they put gold pieces or gold flakes along the glue so that it looks like it's been joined by gold.
I don't think this is what.
Maybe it's kids.
Next, we'll do a round 2 of this conversation.
Yeah. But that would be amazing just to have, like,
yeah. But this crystal Pikachu, I thought about how you'd make this, and so I don't think there's too much mystery in it. Like, for me personally, it's like, okay, so you can see these like micro textures, right?
Yep.
Like, molding is gonna just pick up every single minute detail, like the slightest, like, you know, if it was a machine surface, it would pick up it will pick up the spin marks,
yeah,
of the machining tool, right? Like, which are microns thick, right? So I think you would have used patterns, like you would have put down like hairs or whatever in that mold. Like, anyways, you can create that texture, right? That's fine. Like, you need to make the opposite mold look like that texture. But it's like the way that, like, especially this tail and the ears and maybe the arm, but not so much the arm. Like, so, like, let's just think about it without the crystals, right? First of all, right? Okay, so you need the mold.
Yep.
But the tail and the ears and stuff, they're gonna need some support. Otherwise, it's just gonna be way too fragile, I feel. So if it were me, I would have some kind of like scaffolding inside. So I would have like some steel wire or rod or mesh in just some of the important places, suspended inside the mold, you know, before you pour it, so that I could pick this Pikachu up by the ear, and it's probably not going to break. But okay, so let's say that works. The hardest part is the crystals part, exactly as you said, right? If I was doing it, I would be very, very impressed if he was able to do like, actually, like, he might be able to. Okay, so the first one that you produce, I would actually create the full Pikachu.
Yep.
Right, without these erosions, right? But inside, strategically, I would actually place these crystals in there, right? And then I'll cast the full Pikachu, right? And then with a hammer, right, and some drills and some sandblasting equipment, right, I would literally start chipping away at the places where I think I put the crystals, right? There's no way you're gonna get this like super organic kind of like erosion
seamless
effect,
yeah,
right? You actually have to chip it out. Right? That's the best way to get that effect, right? And you'll actually discover these crystals like as if you're uncovering it for the first time from the embedded ground, right? Now at that stage, what you can do is you can make another mold, like a rubber mold, right, of that Pikachu, which now includes the erosions, right? And it would probably be a one-use discard kind of mold, because it'll be a really difficult process to get out and not destroy the mold. So I would probably use that original one to make like 10 molds, or how many ever molds that you need, right? And then you'll be able to reproduce the same one over and over again with the same erosion patterns.
Mm.
That's probably how I'd go about doing this. But it was a good little mental exercise. It was kind of fun thinking about this. I must thank you for the inspiration.
Yeah, because like as a consumer, you just see the end product and you'll be like, oh, cool, it's done by a famous artist. I want it, and it's Pikachu. It's got crystals. I want it. But for some reason, my brain works like, okay, it looks fucking amazing. Now, like, how did this guy do it? Is my always like thought. Like, how did he come up with that, and why does it look so good?
It would have been hard, man. Like, I can talk about the processes now, like, oh yeah, it won't be that hard to make. I'm pretty sure I can do. But that's not the hard part, right? The hard part is going, oh, I'm thinking like this didn't exist before, right? I'm thinking of doing this sculpture that's a cross between a Pikachu and this sculpture with crystals in it, right? And I think it's gonna be worth it to put in 150 hours. Like, it's easy in post to be like, oh, that's a product that sells, it's great, like, and people will like it, right? But before he actually goes out into that journey of actually like making this thing, right, all of that is not guaranteed, right?
Yes.
And so you need an incredible amount of courage to even set out, even to think that it'll be worth it in the end. I mean, like, how stupid of an idea! It's such a stupid idea. Who the hell's gonna do this? Who's gonna buy a crystal Pikachu?
But I think that's where I think it came from. My thought was, he probably didn't think about selling it. He probably made it because he thought it was cool.
I don't know.
And someone must have been like, hey, that's cool, I want to buy it off you. And that's where I want to be, where I want to be doing something without having to think about money. And then the money just follows, because you're just doing what you love and you're really excited, and it challenges you. And somehow it makes just a lot of money because people want the same thing. And so yeah, like my sort of little project now, because it's a long weekend here. To make that, I saw that a lot of people do 2-part molding. So they like make one side of the mold and then they make the other side of the mold, so they join it together, and then they pour in the cast. So like it's like a 2-piece cast system. And yeah, I don't know. I've been meaning to try it, and it's something that I think it's fucking awesome, because like I would just love to just have it for myself. As like, I'm not even thinking about a customer, right? Like, I'm just thinking about myself. What would I like?
That's a dangerous place to be, man. As in, it's a really good place to be, because you got nothing to lose. All right, bro, dude, we've been talking for like,
I know.
hours.
I mean, it's always so interesting to talk to you, because like, you're so I don't know, accepting.
Oh, thanks, man. No, it's great to as well. Like, we should do this. We should do this again, like, more often. I always, you're one of those people. It's like, oh yeah, that was Paul. Why did I? Every time I talk to you, it's like, why didn't I talk to you earlier? But that's just the nature of the modern world, I guess.
No, but it's also like, it's interesting. It's awesome that, like, we've known each other like for such a long time, and just to
20
be in the
years.
and to be in a place we can talk about that. Yeah. Like, do you remember Remoulin Naidu?
I know the name, but I don't think
Yeah.
I was ever a friend with him. Go
So
on.
I knew him like throughout botany and stuff, and I actually reconnected with him here in Sydney, and yeah, he's just been an awesome friend. Like, but the image that I had of him in school was just like completely different to what I think of now, right? So it's interesting to like grow up and then meet people that you knew before.